Why are those players still the right ones for your team?
First of all, where are you going to go to get any players? Seriously, where are you going to go to get any players for the next week against San Francisco?
Jerry, I think the counter back when you said where are you going to get the players you can't get them this week is, and you're aware of all the off-season topics.
Yeah, but what is your counter? What is your damn counter?
My counter
I
is...
really want to know where you would go get it. Now, don't tell me about should gotten a guy in the off-season.
Why not?
This isn't a damn word argument just because I'm not arguing with you. I'm dealing with how we line up against San Francisco, not what I did wrong last week or last month or 2 months ago or 2 years ago.
Oh, my goodness, bro. I have never heard Jerry Jones sound so perturbed as he was on his weekly radio show appearance with 105.3 The Fan. Welcome back to the Dak Attack Show. Be sure to subscribe so y'all can get more content just like this, bruh, because this is an interesting one because Jerry Jones jumped out of character quite a bit on this interview. There were no little cute sayings. There were no Jerryisms. There was none of that, bruh. It was a whole lot of billionaire, rich old white man threatening to fire people because they were asking him questions that he did not like, bruh.
But if you think for any minute right now, there'll be one Super Bowl champion. What do the others do wrong? There's one Super Bowl champion. Now, we want to be that champion. And I'm sure not throwing the towel in today because of what happened out there Sunday. But I'm not going to sit here and waste a lot of energy, a lot of time. Let's talk about what I should have done back in 1907 or 2017. Shit, Ben. Come on. I've got more time than that, and I actually don't even have time on this great show for looking back at decisions.
1970, a little different from this past off season in building the team we're talking about today, which there was a lot of criticism that you guys didn't add, didn't spend, and don't add, and don't spend, and are not aggressive enough with some of the problems that are still haunting the Cowboys today that we see play out on the field. That's the point of talking about the offseason.
Oh, I remember those criticisms very well. Okay, so what?
Are they playing out to be accurate?
What's your point?
My point is, it seems like
Listen, let me tell you what I'll do. About it. I will let us sit down and look at the decisions we've made over the last several years. Okay? I'll look at it. Now, if you think I'm interested on a damn phone call with you over a radio and sitting here and throwing all the good out with the dishwater, you have got to be smoking something over there this morning. I'm not. And I really don't, and I don't even want our listeners to listen to me, to talk about this is not your job. Your job isn't to let me go over all the reasons that I did something and I'm sorry that I did it. That's not your job.
Well, my job is to ask why.
A job, or I'll get somebody else to ask these questions, man.
Jerry, we're trying to figure out why the team is.
I'm not kidding you.
Hey, this may be the one thing I gotta give credit to 105.3 The Fan for. Y'all know on this channel I've been hard on them because I felt like they were extremely irresponsible in trying to railroad Dak Prescott with that lawsuit back in March, and I just really didn't like how they handled that from a journalism perspective, and we've been pretty hard on them since then, man. But I gotta give kudos where it's due because they made Jerry Jones jump out of that skin, and they asked Jerry about some of the decisions he's made and just how they've been building this roster. And I'm gonna let y'all know, man, Jerry wasn't trying to have no conversations about that. In fact, he was threatening folks' jobs for even asking about that. Now, what does it mean? What does it mean to see a Jerry Jones this mad? What does it mean to see this version of Jerry Jones? That means that he is on the precipice of doing something drastic, okay? That's what that means in my opinion, because that Jerry Jones to me sounds like a man whose pride and ego is getting wounded, and people are needling at his pride and ego to the point to where he's having to reestablish his dominance. He's having to remind people, hey, I'm not just old polite cuddly Jerry that gives you a cute quote. I'm your your damn boss. I send your ass up out of here. I get you escorted out the building like Robert Saleh with the New York Jets. I got pink slips all in this drawer right here, bruh. And they got something for you. Jerry cut a promo. Jerry cut a wrestling promo on 105.3 The Fan this morning, and I'm here for it, bro. I wanted to see something, some type of pulse, some type of sign of life, and while Jerry has made it very clear, he made it very clear while snapping on a reporter after the game that he wasn't going to be getting rid of Big Mike.
What would it take you to evaluate making a head coaching change in season?
Oh, I haven't even considered that. I'm not considering that. Just so you're clear, I'm not considering that.
But you've done it
Don't
once
I
before.
wouldn't be a hypothetical in that matter. Do you think I'm an idiot? Do you? Okay, well, I'm not going to hypothetical with you about when I'd consider coaching change in light of the timing we're sitting here with. I'm not at all.
So he made it clear right there, right? Big Mike ain't going nowhere. Mike Zimmer probably ain't going nowhere. Well, here's where I think as fans, we offer you a olive branch, Jerry. Fire Mike Solari then. If you don't want to give us Mike McCarthy or Mike Zimmer, fire Mike Solari. And by the way, I'm not off Zimmer just yet. The defense had none of the starters. That's something, okay, a couple days removed from the game. Some of the emotions have drained out of our systems. We can kind of take a step back and realize it's not fair to judge Zimmer off of what we just saw in that last game against the Detroit Lions. He didn't even have his tools in his toolbox to even fix that particular problem that was the Lions offense. So I can't sit here and overly chastise the defense. I'm more so disappointed out of that Lions game. I think I'm more so disappointed with Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer, Mike Solari, the offensive line. That was probably their worst game of the entire season. Dak Prescott, I need him to be a lot better than that. You know, Dak Prescott, I believe that you're a top 5 quarterback. I believe your career has shown that you're a top 5 quarterback in this league, especially as compared to any of the other quarterbacks. If you just look at it, look at body of work, look at consistent level of play, Dak Prescott is a top 5 quarterback, and there's not many other quarterbacks in this National Football League that you can look at and say they've been consistently better over a longer period of time, and they have just as many or more accolades than Dak Prescott. It's as simple as that, y'all. He's a top 5 guy. He got to play like it, though, right? So we got to hold everybody accountable. Dak has to play like a top 5 QB, and to this point, this year, he has only had 1 or 2 drives where he's looked like that guy, and that was against the Steelers. Outside of that, bro, Dak, you look like you've been struggling with the rest of the offense, right? So you got to give us a little bit more. No, I'm not saying throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying our guy got to give us more. Even if we're losing, Dak, you got to look better, bro. You got to look better. You just got to look better, right? But besides that, Jerry just wasn't trying to talk about anything. He did bring up Dak. He did bring up having the highest paid quarterback, but you need blocking for him to actually be effective. You need receivers to run the right routes for him to actually be effective. And the fact that people keep bringing up receivers running the right routes, that right there is letting me know that something is off. Something is off with the receivers that we have and them actually honing into the details, because that's something that we're hearing way too much of is receivers running the right route. So are guys out there freelancing? Do guys not understand the playbook? Is that why we're seeing guys run into each other on their routes when we see Schoonmaker run into a Jalen Brooks and it resulted in a goofy looking incompletion? Is that why we're seeing that type of stuff? Is that why we're seeing Dak throwing to certain spots but people not there? Is that why we're seeing that? Whatever we're seeing it for, that stuff needs to be cleaned up. But holy crap, Jerry is on the precipice, y'all. I think he's on the precipice of doing something drastic. And I think if we get a couple of more of these blowouts, if we get a couple more of these embarrassing happenings, right? I think we get a couple more of these situations where Jerry's looking sillier and sillier and sillier for talking about how he like his guys all off season, which he didn't want to talk about none of that. He didn't want to talk about all in. He didn't want to talk about how he like his guys. He didn't want to talk about none of that, bro. Jerry was on straight hellfire mode, and that right there lets me know that not only is he feeling the heat, but if Jerry is feeling the heat, if the boss is getting frustrated and he's starting to let some of that stuff simmer under the pan a little bit, then you know some of that is starting to trickle down. Some of that bubbling water is trickling down the sides of that pot and it's going down to that burner. It's getting to the lower levels, and you know Mike McCarthy feeling some of that heat too, and there's no telling how much more rope that man has before Jerry's ready to snatch the rug from under him. And to be quite honest, the way Jerry sounded, I'm just not even sure. I'm not sure what to expect out of the Cowboys front office. It sounds like they're pretty much going to go status quo. It sounds like there's not going to be big changes or anything, but a man that upset and a man who's that wounded, whose pride and ego is that wounded, he can think that the status quo is what he needs to be talking about right now. But I'm willing to bet the more he sits back and think about how embarrassing this season has been, how embarrassing 3 out of the last 7 games the Cowboys have played have been, where you've allowed your opponents to get almost 50 points and your team look completely unprepared. He's going to sit back and think about all that and think about what the fans are saying about him and think about how the media is talking about him, thinking about the fact that Stephen A. Smith and these people are now on national TV talking about how Jerry Jones is the biggest problem with the Dallas Cowboys above anything else. You now have everybody on the same page and everybody's looking squarely at Jerry. For the first time in a very long time, majority of the community is looking squarely at Jerry, and no one is letting Jerry off the hook. Of course, there's those loyalist fans that feels like they need to justify every move he's making for God knows what reason. But for the most part, everyone's looking at Jerry, and everyone this time was able to identify that not only did you not give Dak Prescott and Mike McCarthy, to be quite fair, the type of roster that they actually need to compete and win, but you quite honestly set them up for failure, and that couldn't be ignored to the point to where national media shows they're not even taking the bait. They're not even piling on the quarterback that's put in an impossible situation. They're not even piling on the players on the team. They're talking about you, Jerry, and how you didn't equip this team with what it needed, and everybody else saw it except for y'all for some reason, and now you're upset, and now you're lashing out, and now you're threatening to fire people.
You're not going to figure out what the team is doing right or wrong. If you are, or any 5 or 10 like you, you need to come to this meeting I'm going to today. There are 32 teams here. You're geniuses.
Jerry,
okay? Y'all really think you're going to sit here with a microphone and tell me all of the things that I've done wrong and without going over the rights?
Well,
now, listen, we both know we're talking to a lot of great fans and a lot of great listeners. And I am very sorry for what happened out there Sunday. I'm sick about what happened Sunday. Now, I'm not talking to these yahoos on the end of this phone. I'm talking to you, the fans that are listening this morning.
The beauty about the Dak Attack Show is I don't work for 105.3 The Fan. I don't work for DallasCowboys.com. I have not been to the Star anywhere that has employee clearance. So you can't fire me. I get to come up here and talk about, yeah, you have made some bad decisions. How you handled this summer was a complete clusterbuck, bro. It was a complete clusterbuck. You could have been more active. You could have made some more moves done. The past couple days, I've been talking about how Cowboys fans sometimes use the Star to elevate these players. Jerry Jones does the same thing, except in a different way. Jerry Jones uses his affection for the players on a personal level and his affection for his own decisions being proven right. He uses that to elevate players to a level that they're really not at yet. And so his need and desire for him to be proven right sometimes is more important than this team actually being put in a position to win. And it's as simple as that. And Jerry, you got to lay in that bed because you made it, bro. Lay in the bed that you made, bro. Everybody understands why this team looks the way it does. Bigger than Mike McCarthy. Yes, the offense could look better. Yes, the team could look slightly more functional under different leadership. And I still believe that, regardless of what Dak Prescott and the rest of these guys say, I still believe that Mike McCarthy isn't the answer because it's been 4 years. And in large part, in big games like the ones we've seen, this team has come out and look unprepared on all phases for some reason. And that just can't happen, right? I think that's indicative of the coaching staff at that point when everyone looks unprepared. There's not just one person playing bad. When everyone is having their worst games in the big games, that's coaching. That's getting your team prepared. And that's why I'm off of Big Mike at this point, right? So regardless if they say I'm off of Big Mike, but bigger than Big Mike, Jerry Jones, everyone realizes you're the actual problem. It starts with you. And once you can be honest with yourself and do what everybody else in that locker room is talking about doing right now, which is looking at the man in the mirror. Once you, Jerry Jones, can look at the man in the mirror, then maybe something different will happen with this franchise. But until then, as fans, I'm going to be honest, bro. My expectations and my hope is on the floor because I just don't have any confidence in what Jerry Jones can do. So in the meantime, all I can do is hope I can enjoy some high-level football play, watching some of my favorite players. But I can't expect us to win a damn thing because our GM is unserious, and that's just what it is. And we still the same old Cowboys.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Woo, ho, shala, ba, bo, sha. Hey, I'm still them boys.